Hey everyone, you are at Calvary Pursuit, the official podcast of Calvary UPC of Denton. I'm your host, Gary Vaughan, and today we have a very special guest that's been here a couple of times, but the third time is a charm. We'll tell you why right after this. All right, well, I am here with Sister Monica Whatley.
Hello, Gary. How are you?
Great. No stranger to the podcast, as everyone knows, but that's because she has a very important position here at Calvary. She's a kids praise leader, right?
Yes,
I know
sir.
some people say kids praise director. There's all sorts of titles you get for being a head honcho, right?
You know, craziness wrangler would work too. Any of those phrases.
Any of them work. But the reason today we're going to have you here is not primarily about kids praise. I kind of let you know that beforehand. And we like to talk about, of course, our ministry. And I think you've done a wonderful job already kind of filling us all in on what kids praise is all about. We are going to touch on it. But we're going to wait till the end. That way people are fresh and ready to go and get active on what we're going to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. I'm ready.
We're going to start this thing out by talking about something that you asked me before we started. What are you talking about? Okay, so we are going to talk a little bit about legacy.
Ooh, that's good.
Legacy, to me, is a very important thing. And I think legacy to many people means something like iconic. When you think of legacy, you think of greatness, right?
Yes.
You know, we think of Michael Jordan. We think of leaders that led countries, like Teddy Roosevelt and different people that have done big, important things. But each of us, as you can attest, have people in our lives that have meant so much to us and the people around us.
Yes.
And I know for you, for your personal life, I know your grandmother
Yes.
and I know your mother were two people that were very impactful on your life. And I think many people that have been at Calvary for many years, they knew both of them could say the same.
Yes.
So that's a struggle, I think, for those that, of course, like myself, I would say my father, that people see what my dad has done and then they equate, well, what's the next generation? Are you as good as your parent?
Ooh.
That's got to be something that you think about on a regular basis as your legacy.
Right. Yes. That's actually a very heavy thought, Gary. Normally we're talking about the kids and it's all hype and exciting. But man, just thinking of the legacy that they left and my mom, and my grandmother with her legacy. I believe I'm 6th generation Pentecostal, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back through it. But prayer warrior. And then my mom with her resolve, I guess is the best way to put it with my mom. I can remember, and you probably, Gary, remember, she was a singer. My mother was a worshiper and a singer first. And I will never forget, she would sing, God will make this trial a blessing, even though it brings me to my knees. And just hearing her, wow, I just pray that I can have that much faith and that much grit and stick-to-itiveness, as my mom did when the going gets tough.
Right. And now that is a big one. And for the fact of the matter of both of those women, they were pretty much, I'm just going to say this, the glue for the family.
Yes.
Right. When things were chaotic, when people were having trouble, when someone needed someone to rely on, I could say each of them had their own way that they were the magnet for people. They just were attracted to them to help me pray. Help me with this situation. Do you have any advice? And so I know for you, for a fact, I know that's got to be something that kind of weighs on you at times where you're like, okay, now I'm having to step into the shoes at times where now your family may rely on you or your peers at church, the rest of the congregation come to you and say, well, I know Monica's from a strong background. I can ask her this question. Right.
Trying to take up that mantle, really, which again, hard.
Hard, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where for myself, I look at that and say I'm proud of it, and I just want to be as good, right? And even for my mom is, she's a daughter of a pastor, a Pentecostal pastor. And so then I kind of get put in that place myself because I don't want to, be the one that kind of like hinders that legacy. I kind of don't want to let my grandpa down, right?
Right.
So it's really tough, and we all try to strive for that. And so I think legacy is so important, especially it helps us and it takes us in a new direction in our life when the world is pulling us in this way, and God's got us going this way. And we've got a lot of responsibility, not only to God, but to those people that came before us. And I think I think you would agree with this, Monica. I think when we look at the way that our congregation here at Calvary is built, we have so many people that have come and gone and, passed on. But we look at them and say, man, I want to step in that role. I want to take up that mantle. And I think we've done a pretty good job. I think a lot of us have it, but it's still, it's when you're in the middle of it, it's hard to see that you're doing good, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yes, sir. The pressure to carry the torch, so to speak, so that the flame doesn't go out. Because the fact of the matter is, if you just keep carrying and you don't impart that on that next generation, eventually that torch will go out, unfortunately. So that the pressure to continue that and the ability and the honor to get to do that also, and the prayers that went forth for us so that we could do that are incredible.
And you just said something there, the honor to do it.
Yes.
So we do feel a responsibility, but it's an honor. It's so something,
blessed.
Right?
So blessed to be able to do it, and that God would allow me with all my faults, with all my struggles, God allows me to continue on with their legacy and passing that on to the future. Even your daughter, Miss Lily, I'll never forget, she never got to actually meet my mom because she was born just before my mom passed away. But she got to meet my mom through me.
Right.
And got to understand that legacy through me. Oh, yeah. So that's big.
That's huge. And I think what's kind of interesting, and let's switch gears, but a little bit switch gears here. I know I've said in many of the Kids Praise meetings that you have led, and you have talked to all of us, those that are, teachers in Kids Praise, and you've said it multiple times. It rings true every time that if we're not the example and we're not encouraging the parents to be the example, what's going to happen to these kids once they live Kids Praise? Right. And then we could gladly, as Kids Praise teachers and as you, the leader, oh, well, they're a little this or they're having problems here, but you know what? If we can just get them to the youth, we're okay. We've never said that. No. Because it's too late, right? Right.
Well, absolutely. If you don't catch them before they're there, before they're in the youth group, then you've already lost that battle. And, you said, if we're not the example, if we're not the ones leading them, the fact of the matter is children and all of us, we're going to follow someone. Mm-hmm. We got to make sure that we are showing them a good example, because if we don't, they're going to find an example somewhere. They're going to find somebody to follow. And we want to make sure that they're following the right examples, following the right friends, hanging out with the right friends, getting them connected with friends in the body, not even necessarily this church. I think it's great. I can remember years ago, you don't talk to other churches. This is our church. This is our bubble. Right. And you can't talk to anybody else. We can't fellowship with them because they were so afraid, well, if they go and talk to them, then, maybe they'll leave. But I'm so thankful for the culture of the church in general, the body of Christ in general, having friends. I mean, Colton's got friends that he may not see them physically maybe once every year, but he talks to them every single week. That's so awesome. And I love that because that's an example. That's a good example that he can have and talk to weekly about things that he's going through. So that's awesome.
That is very awesome. And that's going to lead to our main point. And before we do, I want to say this, that, everybody out there listening, if you have a kid or you don't have a kid, be the legacy for somebody.
Yeah.
Especially for our young ones. I know me and you, as we sit here today, me and you, it's easy for us to talk kids praise for hours. And all that because we've been involved for so long and all that, and it's a heartbeat. But I think when it comes to just anybody, young people, when it comes to people off the street, I think each of us have a responsibility to carry on and to be the, well, just to be honest, we be that legacy for somebody else because we come before them. Right. Whether it's in a family line or it's just a spiritual line, right?
Right, absolutely.
So that's so important. But I want to go and talk about what you just said. The fact that there was those times where we could sit there and say, oh, yeah, I remember when it was like a war of the churches. Right. Not really. That sounds a little strong. But I'll say this. Let me tell a quick story. I'll never forget there was two churches. My church and another church, and they played softball against each other. And that's just a fun game, right? Oh, just the guys playing softball. But man, you would not have known that, the intensity. Our church is going to beat your church. And it's crazy to think that. But that was just that's a sport, that's competitive. But it got a little, rough at times, I'm not going to lie. But the fact of the matter is that as I've grown, I've noticed that culture, and it's kingdom-minded. Right. Yes. And I think our churches have come to the fact that, yes, let's don't be paranoid. We're going to lose people. Let's be more focused on reaching the lost, no matter if they go to our church or they go to another church.
Kingdom minded. We're all one body. We are all one body. And, the truth is, it doesn't matter where they go. When we get to heaven, there's not going to be separate churches, Brother Gary. We're all going to be in heaven and we're all going to rejoice together. And, speaking of legacy, you get a little bit older and then you start hearing your parents speak through you. And I will never forget my mom many times. If we can't get along down here, what makes us think God wants us up there? And it's so true. We're going to be worshiping together. It's going to be one mass choir. The ones that can sing and the ones that can't. We're all going to worship together, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I love what Pastor Brandon and I talked about, the fact that, when we go to heaven, it's going to look like a complete, rainbow, where we're all going to look different shades. We're going to sound different languages. And that's what, honestly, Calvary is made up of.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's a great thing for us not to be stuck in one specific category. I love that fact. And I just think to myself sometimes, I say, I love the fact that my children get the chance to be in that kind of environment.
Yes.
Because there's some kids that don't have that luxury where they do get stuck in one spot and they don't know what to do when they go to another church or part of another environment, and they're kind of lost. And, thank the Lord, I was raised in an environment kind of like Calvary, where I was always around people from different backgrounds and just situations. And so that is so important. And it helps you be a little more kingdom-minded when you have that base.
Right.
Because you feel more comfortable. And you've done this, and we're definitely going to touch on the new event coming in. But I'm just going to say it this way. You've been to many parks, and you've been a part of the remind me, the ministry, what's the ministry called that
we're about to go to?
First responders.
The spiritual first responders.
Yeah. So they go out and they have all these churches use the people that are good at specific things and go impact the community. And that's such a big
for other churches. Other churches. So churches from all over the Metroplex are coming together as one body to benefit a local church there. It's actually, I don't know if you wanted me to go ahead and hint on that. It's actually in Justin this year. And we get together and we will go out and we will do the door hangers, and we will invite people to a community impact event at a park there local. And we will just, on those days, I'm not Calvary.
Right.
I'm not Calvary. I'm going out on behalf of that church to assist with that church. And that's what all of these churches from the Metroplex are going to be doing. We're going to go out, and when we invite, we're inviting to that church because that community is where we're at. Why would I invite here when that community is there? You're going to have a better chance getting somebody to go to any church
Right.
if it's their local.
Right.
And so that's what we're doing. We're going out and we're inviting to that church and helping to strengthen the body there, which is so awesome to be able to, again, be honored to go and do that and to help in that way. So cool.
Yeah. And, what's great about it, too, is you get a chance to be with the community and really get a chance to understand what's going on.
Right.
With those kids, with those adults, with anybody, the elderly, and to see the things that they're dealing with in each community. And you're able to be a blessing. You're able to reach out outside of the four walls of here at Calvary and reach out and
beyond these walls.
Yes, and bless somebody. And I love that. And tell me, how has that affected and impacted your life as you've done that?
Exactly. Well, this is actually this year, on August the 8th, it's going to be our third year that Kids Praise has been able to be represented at that event. And I think the biggest impact that I've seen is our kids today, they're so media driven, but being able to witness, even my little boy, Colton, him going out and doing the knocking on doors, inviting people, door hangers, is something that most kids don't get to experience any longer. And I can remember doing that as a child when we were building Calvary and reaching our city, going out and doing those kind of things with my mom and dad and us going to the mall and handing out flyers there, come to Calvary. We would give us the opportunity to love you, essentially.
Right.
And watching Colton do that, or when we did the event in Anna, watching all of our kids from Kids Praise get out there. And I mean, we had on that one, we had your boys in tote on that one too. And so all three of those boys, growing up and serving God together and getting to go out and witness to people together is such a cool thing. It kind of goes back to the legacy thing. It's passing on that legacy. Our kids aren't going to know how to do that kind of stuff if we don't lead the charge and get them out there. No, Colton does not, I promise you, want to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning to go and do outreach. I promise.
Yeah.
However, it's important.
Right.
If we don't hit the pavement, then the kingdom, it'll grow. God will find a way. He'll make a way for it to grow. But we are supposed to be doing that. It's the Great Commission. It's our responsibility to be doing that. Right. So kind of advancing the kingdom and advancing that legacy and sending it on with them so that when they get older, they can do the same with their kids. All right, it's Outreach Saturday. Let's go. We're going to go help. We're going to build the kingdom. So that's how it has impacted me.
Oh, yeah. It's really important for us to feel that and see that, because when we put the hard work in, sometimes, it's, are we really going to get out of this what we're hoping? Like, not for the fact of our own gratitude or our own feelings, but are we impacting the environment? Are we impacting the community? How are we doing it? I think once you walk away, you realize, man, with these many kids, and I saw this family here. It's just, even with one family or one child, it's a success.
Yes. Well, even and for our kids, it, like you said, it's that success. And it gives them a whole new appreciation for doing the outreach. Right. I mean, last year when we were doing the Jesus Tent Revival, and if you talk to Lil Hudson about the situation, he just grins from ear to ear. But we have a precious family at Calvary today because a child went out and invited. The Paz family, Brother Max and Sister Otticelli. Yes. Hudson invited them, and they are faithful members of Calvary today, serving on serve teams. Little Michaela gets to sing on the platform, and she loves it, and she sings with authority and power, all because a child invited.
Right.
A child got the courage and went out and did God's work.
And that should make us adults think about, what are we doing?
Right. When was the last time you invited someone
Yeah, encourage
Man.
someone. That's such an important thing for us to think about, to see the little children. I do want to touch on one thing you said, because you said, God's going to make it grow even if you're not a part of it.
Right.
And when God calls us to do something, we should do it, because it's easy for him to say, well, I've called you.
Right.
I've got someone, I gave it to someone else.
Right.
Even the king of pop, Michael Jackson, said, God gave me this song. I'm not going to not perform it because he'll give it to Prince.
Right.
So that's just the way it is. The honest truth. God is like that. And, and those of us that, know how God is, his kingdom is going to grow. It continues to grow.
Right.
But it's just up to us do we really want to be a part of it? Do we want to see the kingdom grow? Or are we going to sit on the sidelines and see everybody else be blessed? Is that what we want? And so being kingdom minded is so important, but it's not easy. And I want to touch on that as we talk about this, because I know for a fact, Sister Monica, you have spent hours upon hours at the church. You spent hours and hours outside working on projects, whether it be doing an event. You have been at all these places, especially the church, at late hours. Right. I know you've been even on holidays working when other people are doing, we're having our recreation, we're having our family time. And that's a big blessing, I know, on your life, because God has definitely blessed you in many different ways. But I know it's not easy. And I know at times, mentally and physically, that's got to be difficult. How do you do it? Tell me, how are you staying kingdom-minded when your body's weak and your mind is weak?
I think the biggest, I guess, not really advice, but biggest advice-ish I can give is, it's got to be a family thing. When I come up and work, Michael's right there. He's so supportive. And then same thing, Colton's right there. He's helping me. Even if it's a little thing, hey, Bubby, we've got to go up and we've got to, I don't know, paint this backdrop or paint this wall. Give them a little paintbrush. Get them involved in it, invested in it. Right. So that it's not, it's so easy to, and I had this conversation with our wonderful tax assessor of Benton County, which is incredible. She's amazing. But I had a conversation with her about how important it is to keep it kingdom minded and keep it a family thing, and not allow it to be a burden. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to come up to the church and clean the classrooms. I get to. I'm blessed to be able to do that, and our pastor and Sister Rachel honor me by allowing me to do that, to come in and to be able to do those things for the kingdom. It is an honor to be able to serve the people of Calvary and to see. I mean, I've mentioned this before on previous episodes that I've been able to be a part of, but my family was here when there was no one. And I can remember one Wednesday night after some troubles with the church, we'll just put it troubles, and it was pretty well Brother Casey, Brother Patrick, myself, and my sister were the youth group that Wednesday night after those troubles. And so looking at it now, and the way that God has honored the faithfulness of Bishop and Honey, and honored the work that has gone forth, and the prayers and the sacrifices, it's just beautiful to see the sanctuary now busting at the seams, literally busting out walls so that we can accommodate the lost that God is sending. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So,
that's what you said there is so important, because we should have support, and we need support at times. We want to be kingdom minded, and it's not just us as one person doing everything. Right. We're a team, whether it be our family or of course, anyone else in the church. I mean, as we call here at Calvary, our team.
Right.
And that is a big deal. And if anybody is a part of anything we're doing here at Calvary, you'll notice The church app has all the different ministries, and you'll have your own section, but there's not one section on there, Monica, that I could find as one person.
Right.
There's not one place on that app that tells me that person's in charge. They're the only one that does the work. Even, like as you sit here on this podcast today, this isn't Gary. Gary, I have some awesome people working and helping, and we're doing this together. It's just amazing that how this works.
And I think the other beautiful thing is if you were to look at the teams list, I guess is the best way to put it. There's not a single team that doesn't have somebody on it that's not on another team. Yeah. It almost looks like the crime scene where they're trying to figure out who did it, so they have the yarn going everywhere. That's pretty much what it looks like. We're all working together, and we're all willing to do what's necessary, whatever is necessary to advance the kingdom. And that's something that's very rare to have a group of people that I don't need to be in the spotlight. I just want to serve. Okay, well, we don't need you right here, right now. We need you over here. Okay, sure. Just tell me what to do. That's so beautiful because it's very rare in the church world or in the corporate world.
Oh, yeah.
Very rare. Just tell me what needs to be done. Whatever, what is it? Any other duties as necessary or as asked.
Exactly. That's so true. Some people come in and say, well, I immediately want to be on the platform singing. Well, that's great. I mean, if you sing good or you sing bad, it doesn't matter. And that's a great thing. But just because you're not asked to be on the platform right away doesn't mean that you don't have an opportunity. Right. It just means that sometimes you have to work your way there. Right. And as we sit and we see those people on the platform, we don't know all the time what struggles they went through to get there. Right. How many hours they spent doing, outreach, how many hours they spent in prayer, how many hours they spend doing other things, and then we're asked to be a part of things. That's the really, like you said, I'm so glad you brought that up because it's so easy to get our feelings hurt. Us, despite the fact that we have faith, sometimes we still get our feelings hurt because, well, this didn't work out, or, man, I expected to be in this role.
And that's the big thing. Our expectations get the best of us a lot of times. That did not go the way I thought that it was going to go. Right. So I'm just going to about face and I'm going to be done. And that's not, I can promise you 100% of our heroes in the Bible that we like to read about and we study, none of them did the situation go the way that they thought it was going to go.
I know. So, I just think as we wrap up here, I think about the fact that what you just said, even the people that we look to in the Bible, even when we look at our own ministers and all those people, we have to remember that they're human. We're human. So nothing is going to go exactly as planned ever. Right. Especially as a guy that's worked in media, doing this podcast. A lot of times I'm really disappointed in, that angle wasn't like I wanted on the camera, or the audio is horrible for what I wanted. I expected so much more out of it. But you know what? Right. Despite how imperfect some of these podcasts may sound or look, sometimes someone will come to me and say, I really enjoyed that podcast. That really blessed me, or I never thought about that. Your guest said this or that, and it really touched my life. And I thought, that was the one that the crackling sound in the audio, and this is, and so anyway, it's such a confirmation on the fact that being kingdom minded doesn't mean you have to be perfect, right? Right. And we can feel weak. We can be tired. We can feel like we're financially strapped that we can't do it. But you know what? God always provides a way for us to bless the kingdom. And I know that you can attest to that, right? Yes, absolutely. So, well, as we end here, I want us to really quickly here, go ahead and once again tell me the time, the date, and of course the place we need to be a blessing to help out Kids Prison their event. So the date, I can tell you for certain the date. The date is August the 8th. Okay.
Typically, we meet around 9 o'clock. We do a real quick prayer. It is a weekend long thing, so there will be a Friday night even prayer over the events of the weekend. So the 7th, 8th, and then that church will be having revival on Sunday, the 9th. I'll be honest, Brother Neri, I don't know the exact location yet because normally it's a local park. But I believe they have a large grounds there at the church. It's Brother Lejeun's church in Justin. So I believe the event may actually be on their property at the church. And then leading up into that Sunday service. And the biggest way to help is, can y'all pray with us?
Right.
Pray over that event, that God, that our efforts would be fruitful and that God would move on the people of Justin.
Yes, most definitely. And I think that anyone out there listening right now, if you can't be there, hey, like Sister Monica asked, pray. Do that for us. If you can, you want to help out, you want to bring your kids, even if you're not in participation, you're like, well, my kids would like to. Bring your kids. It's so important to encourage other churches by bringing your kids, because once people see, especially the people in the community of Justin, see 25 kids rather than 3, they're going to like, oh, my kids involved.
Yes.
So please bring your children if you've got children. Spend your time. If you want to be a blessing, and you can contact Sister Monica.
Yes. And
she'll be able to guide you on anything when it comes to the event and how you could help and all that great stuff. So wanted to highlight that. Hopefully that will get some people encouraged today. I want to say thank you to Sister Monica Whatley for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Most definitely. And of course, for everyone else out there, thank you so much. I can't wait. We've got some big podcasts coming. All right, everybody. Until next time, make sure you're loving somebody, because you just never know who might need a new beginning.